Is Black Flag didn't die because the industry or grudge became anything outside of force. They destroyed himself from the inside. And honestly, one of the most chaotic self-destruction in history. And we're talking about lawsuits, firefights, and roasting band members. And Guitar Hula sued his own band? Let me explain. The story starts in 1976. In Los Angeles, Greg Ginn, the kid, more into ham radio and electric than music. The band started it called Panic, and he was not trained guitarist. He wasn't trying to become a rock star. He was just trying to make noise. And honestly, that's what made Black Flag different from the start. They weren't trying to be good, and they weren't trying to be real. Then they changed their name to Black Flag in 1978. And then they started playing those chaotic shows in LA. And I had to legit fact check this. I don't know how many times I'm ever going to say that. They were going to get shut down by the cops. Like, venues would call the police on them on mid-set. And this doesn't say the shows were. These were shows were. If you were new to the genre, I got to cover Black Flag because it was the band who invented hardcore punk. They took over faster, louder, angry, the whole DIY scene, and they invented the modern DIY touring. Greg started the SST records that put out a lot of things and of the house and daily stuff like Dino Jr., The Miniature, and I think the Descendants Summary. I don't know what it is. The STCSST right there. There's your logo. By 1981, they released Damage, and honestly, it was a masterpiece. It was raw, brutal. I liked it. It defined hardcore. Keith is the original singer. I have an uncle named Keith. That's funny. Does can I get okay? The most annoying thing about Candy Speak is I can't pronounce people's last name. Henry Rollins. That's funny. Join. That's funny. I pronounce his last name. Not another else. Join everything and changed everything. Join and change everything. Oh my god! You need to stop making these names. And look here, Rowling was a polarizing figure, and some things are the best happens to Black Flag. He ruined it personally, and he brought the industry that bands needed a momentum. The dude would go on stage and just became a different person. Like, he would go into crowds, he would scream, he would bleed. That's performance, that's real. But everything started falling apart when Greg Ginn was the kind of guy who controlled everything. I mean, everything. He wrote songs, he owned his own label, he toys. He made decisions that was full of the band. Cousin and Roland, Kia, Bill stayed on drums. He controlled Chef. By 1994, the band was falling apart. They were continually touring. They were aggressive. They were touring. They were talking like 200 shows a year. And the vibe of the band was getting toxic. And no one wants that. So Jim was becoming more isolated, more controlling. Rolling is getting worse and frustrating. And they're releasing albums that are getting weirder and weirder. Not Weird Al weirder, but weirder. Like from hardcore punk to slow sludge metal. What the frack? What the actual heck? What does that mean? That's like the weirdest genre of all time. And fans wanted OG, and it was the. This is still weird that this is an actual genre. I had to check that. That's a real thing. What? That's what fans would have wanted. The lawsuit started with Greg Ginn legit suing his own band member over the right of Black Flag's name. Keith Morris was the original singer, started Circle Jerks, and that became a massive band. And Jen was probably, he was Chuck, and two, Chuck Joyce, original bassist, co-founded the band. published a legal battle, and Jin and Saga, it's ugly. Like, let's get back in the video, but it gets worse. They officially broke up in 1986. Was left a legacy. Well, and of course, and it got worse when they broke up and they created some laser music. But by 1986, the band has a fish and destroyed himself from the inside. After Black Flag, Henry Rollins goes and becomes a spoken leader, and Greg Grinn kept SST Records going by the Atlantic half of the record label. The bands were years of performing. It was just never the same. It will never be the same. I'm not going to lie. It sucks. Because Black Flag, and weirdly enough, Black Flag is, I think, okay, wait, hold on. You think this would be the end, but Black Flag, but nothing's ever simple. But in 2013, Greg Grinn decided to bring back Black Flag. The announcement shocked the punk world of Henry Rollins wasn't coming back. Neither Keith, neither Chuck, Bill, and Kira Rollins. Instead, Grinn recruited new members, including Roy Rents on Voiceless, Full Slug, Black Flag, briefly back from 1998. The band started touring almost immediately after the Rock controversy. Fans were excited to hear them live again. They felt like the reunion wouldn't. With the classic lineup, it would have messier. During shows in like Australia, Roy Royce was saying to Gerwig, eventually firing him while still on stage. Ray walked off the panel with him finished. While the singer, one of the most influential reunions. At the same time, Keith and Chuck and Bill and Dez announced a world tour under the name Flag. This time it was a Black Flag, but it was a many musicians. So, but generally, especially got strange, especially the two versions of Black Flag touring at the same time. Greg and Black Flag and Flag, fans were immediately debating representing the real Black Flag, while Greg was having his own name, Black Flag. It felt better. The own band in the reunion 2013, the released new album What the in 2013. Unfortunately, it meant overwhelming negative reviews. So instead of restoring the Black Flag, well, see, they just mess everything up. And but other Black Flag, but with it's honestly will not, and of course, it will never be the same because Black Flag should have been one of those bands who lasted, had some talent, vision. It killed ego, controlled, killed it. And the real story of Black Flag wasn't the music, wasn't the cops, wasn't controversy. The band was building on something they could destroy. And Greg Rowith controlled everything, or did he just kill his own band? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. It's been my pleasure. Please like and subscribe. I'm broke. I don't have money. I want to get 100 subscribers by the end of this year. Well, see, and also, comment below what's your favorite Black Flag song? Well, I'll see you next one. Maybe, maybe not. But we'll never know.